All right, everybody, we have got our mini preview and season win total predictions here for the Las Vegas Raiders. This is episode 17 as we go through the entire NFL. Over under for the Raiders 6.5, -118 to the over, -104 to the under. Those numbers have moved quite a bit. It's plus money on the over now and -130-ish on the under on FanDuel. Did this research 3 to 4 weeks ago, so that's what the numbers we were using. But so yeah, we are going to go with the under for the Las Vegas Raiders here at -104. We're going to jump right on into the coaching. It's Josh McDaniels, who, I'm going to be honest, I don't think this dude's a good head coach. Might be a good offensive coordinator. I just don't think he's a good head coach. And he'll be calling plays. Lombardi's there to help him out, but McDaniels is doing a lot of that. Then Patrick Graham, who I like as a coordinator, but worked with nothing last year, and I think he's going to work with nothing again, so we'll see. But yeah, it's a coaching staff that leaves a lot to be desired for me. As for the roster, Jimmy G, new quarterback. He passed his health stuff, which I wasn't really worried about. I am worried about his health as the season goes along because it changes, he misses games all the time. He gets a variety of different injuries all the time. He's not super mobile. And we'll talk about the offensive line, but that's not ideal for this situation here. So I don't really love that, but I don't think Jimmy G's this horrible quarterback either, and should be good enough for this system that he wants to run. As for the offensive line, Colton Miller at left tackle had a really good year last year. He'll hope to continue that. Right tackle is solid as well. It's the interior that is a huge problem. Parham, Jones, and Bars, as a collective, were horrible, especially in pass protection. Run protection was okay, but in pass protection especially, they were all really bad, and it hasn't been addressed. It wasn't addressed all off season, so those three are going to start again, which maybe some continued continuity here will be okay, but I really hate that. One of your weakest positions and you don't address it at all, which is a weird theme throughout this roster. And we were talking about Jimmy G. He's not super mobile. There's going to be a ton of pressure coming up the middle for an injury-prone, non-mobile quarterback. I feel like he'll be running for his life, and if he gets through the whole season and plays all 17 games, I'd be pretty surprised considering everything here. But offensive line, besides left tackle and maybe right tackle, is problematic. Running back room, it's got Josh Jacobs, which is obviously great. 3-down guy, excellent runner. We'll see what happens with his contract situation. I don't think he'll miss a ton of time. If he does, the outlook's different in this room, but normally these things tend to work themselves out before the season starts anyway. Bolden, Abdullah, Zamir White, all sitting behind him, but it's all about Josh Jacobs here. Those guys can get a couple carries here and there, but I'm not expecting anybody to eat into Josh Jacobs' carries. Wide receiver room, pretty good. I like this wide receiver room, actually. Devontae Adams is obviously a top 5 wide receiver. Really good. Excellent route runner. All that great stuff that he does. I really like the Jacoby Myers signing. I was surprised the Patriots let him go myself, but this is a good number 2, and just to complement each other very well, those two. Renfro in the middle, or in the slot. He's coming off an injury-plagued kind of weird season last year. He'll hope to bounce back, though I'm not sure if the coaching staff loves him. Dorsett, Tucker, Carter, backups, but they're all pretty speedy and quick, so might get some nice snaps out of them, but I'm not loving the depth. But the front 3 I really like. Tight end room, no more Foster Moreau. He moves on to New Orleans, I believe, and it leaves a hole-ish there, but there are some good players here. It's pretty deep. I think Foster Moreau's the best, would have been the best of the bunch, but it's a good 3 here. I don't hate any of these guys. Hooper is solid. OJ Howard, never really put it together yet, but he's a good athlete and he has the traits. And then they draft Michael Mayer, who should end up being a good tight end, but tight end is a difficult spot for rookies to come in and kind of immediately impact, so we'll see. But a solid room of 3 there. And then we move on to the defense. Defensive line, similar to the offensive line. Max Crosby is obviously really good. maybe peaked last year or the year before, but he's still a very, very, very good edge rusher here. Chandler Jones on the other side is okay-ish. They draft Tyree Wilson, who I don't hate Tyree Wilson, but they could have done other things at that point. And they draft Wilson, who may not even start, ahead of Chandler Jones. It'll be a really nice option to bring inside on obvious passing downs for Tyree Wilson, which may be where he just plays this first season, but it's okay. It's not awful. He's got great traits. It's similar to the offensive line where the interior is really bad and the edges are okay, and they used heavy draft capital on him. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about a lot of the way this was done, but we're just handicapping what's on the field and what will be on the field. If Chandler Jones is starting, Tyree Wilson will be that third down interior guy, rotated rusher, who may take over as the season goes on. It's kind of how I expect it to go. The interior line was just really bad last year all around, and it's the same dudes it's the same guys. So the interior defensive line, like the O-line, was really bad, and it'll be the same dudes starting again. So, it is what it is there. Not great. Linebacker room is not ideal. The two starters here, nobody played 600 snaps last year. It's two players, Spillane and Diablo, who were both horrible in pass coverage last year. I mean, Spillane was bottom 10 at linebacker in pass coverage last year. They're going to be a ton of stuff over the middle. I don't think Diablo forced a single incompletion all year long, so I have a feeling teams are just going to pass all over this group, and it's a worry. And then we move to the secondary, which is also a worry. It's been overhauled, really, but not by great players. Marcus Peters comes in. He had a down year last year, but it's also his first year off an ACL, so we'll see if he can make that jump back up. But he did have a down year last year. We'll need to step back up. Nate Hobbs, step back last year. Trayvon Moehrig, step back last year. They'll need to turn it back around and step up again. Marcus Epps, coming off a bad season in Philadelphia, ranked really, really low for coverage, for safeties in general. They bring in at corner for Kyson, David Long, Duke Shelley. Duke Shelley is the best of the bunch, I guess. He had a breakout year a little bit in Minnesota, but is it enough? Can he keep it up? We'll see. He'll need to. David Long's been horrible for a while. It's just what it is. So, I mean, it's a secondary group that they overhauled, but did they get better? Marcus Peters will need to get back to his 2020 form for them to really step up as a unit, and the unit in front of them at linebacker is not going to cover passes well, and the defensive line, is it going to get pressure? I don't know. This seems like a really, really bad defense to me, a really bad O-line. Not ideal, not what I want to see when combing through a roster. As for the schedule, it starts off really, really difficult. You're going to Denver week 1. That's horrible for anybody with the altitude. First game of the season. Then you go to Buffalo, home to the Steelers, and then away to the Chargers. A really, really gross start to the season. Definitely their toughest stretch. And then you got Green Bay, New England at home, at Chicago, at Detroit. So 3 teams from the NFC North, and the Patriots. They won that Patriots game last year in a wild way, but we'll see this year. Green Bay at home is okay, and then at Chicago, at Detroit, who can all put up points against this bad defense. Then they're home to the Giants and Jets, away to Miami, home to Kansas City. Another really difficult stretch there. That's 4 playoff teams or 4 playoff-ish teams. I don't know if the Giants get there this year, but, then they're bye, and then Minnesota, Chargers again, at Kansas City, at Indianapolis, and Denver. So this is a really difficult schedule. It does not get easy at any point, and this is a roster that's filled with holes. We are going under 6.5 at -104 for the Las Vegas Raiders. This is episode 17. We'll do 18 tomorrow. We'll have a new team.